Hello book lovers, welcome to Uncommon Reader. My name is Daniela and this is my final April Reads wrap up. In April I read a total of 7 books, one of which I've already talked about in a dedicated video. It was Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin, my buddy read with Renee of Beyond Books. You will find a link to that video in the info box if you missed it and you'd like to take a look. I also read a book by Joel Dicker. His new release is not available in English yet, so that leaves us with 5 more books, and I'm going to try to be very concise looking at my notes here today. So I'm not going to keep you here for an hour or so, okay? So let's dive in. The first read was so hard, such a hard read, but at the same time I'm actually very satisfied that I made it through, because at one point, especially the 4th chapter, was really hard, sort of nightmarish, and I had to put the book away and was determined not to continue. But then I was talking to another booktuber that had read the book, and so she kind of encouraged me to continue because the story was quite profound, and I'm happy that I did, because especially the 5th chapter was very moving as well. So Too Loud a Solitude is a short novel by Czech writer Bohumil Hrabal. This was self-published in 1976 and it officially got published in Czechoslovakia only in 1989 due to political censorships. It is a touching and quirky story about a man who spent 35 years crushing papers and books in a compactor factory. And at that time, Czechoslovakia was a police state, hence the censorship, of course. Though this man destroys books for a living, he actually treasures them and filling his home with rescued volumes. And over time, he's learned so much from the books he saves that he no longer knows which thoughts are his and which thoughts are coming from the books that he reads. But things will change when a modern machine will make his job obsolete and this man will have to face the end of an era. This is a really dark tale of the power of books that survive censorship and oppression. The prose is exquisitely rich and sophisticated, even if some events are quite grotesque. And that's why I have stopped reading it at chapter 4. Very gruesome scenes at one point. But other chapters are very deep and heartbreaking romantic. In fact, in chapter 5, this man reminisces on a lost love, which was really so poetic to read. I ended up giving this book 3.5 stars. Let's move on to Animal Farm by George Orwell. For me, this was another 5 stars read. I was really touched by the story, the significance, and also the writing, the fast beat of the events, although very smooth transitions. There's a group of animals that are tired and badly treated by their farmer, so they want to take control and they succeed. So they're filled with big hopes and powerful slogans. They dream of building a fair farm and an equal society, but over time, the pigs take over, and George Orwell says pigs are very intelligent animals, which is actually a true fact. And so they're sort of taking over. They transform this society into a new kind of cruelty, just as bad as before. And they do it very subtly. They're trying to manipulate what other animals think, but we said that, you don't remember? So it feels really what, some politicians are doing today, where they keep changing their minds and they sort of are in denial of what they've said before. So I thought that, all this manipulation was really cleverly done. Next read, The Mistress of Spices by Chitra, Banerjee, Divakaruni. I love this book because it was actually set in Oakland, in the San Francisco Bay Area, which I lived in, which I go visit a lot. And so it brought me back to places I know. So probably that's why I enjoyed it. It's not like a 5 stars read though. I gave it, I think, 3 stars. And the Mistress of Spices is telling the story about this woman called Tilo. She has a mysterious past, which we will discover little by little throughout the book. Apparently she is immortal, and she runs a spice shop in Oakland, in California. Her spices are magical. They can heal pain, solve problems, and even fulfill secret wishes. She helps many people, especially immigrants, with her powerful blends. But when she falls in love with a man, these forbidden feelings, she wasn't allowed to fall in love. She was on a mission that she was given. So there's so much more to the story. So these forbidden feelings start to weaken her magic. So she's facing a choice, fall in love or keep helping others. So for me, this was a bit superficially narrated because although we understand at one point what Tilo went through in her life, I thought that her character in the book was a bit superficial. But then it felt like it became more empathic to people. But yet, I think it was way too brief. It could have been a longer novel where we would dive more into the changes in Tilo's personality. So I felt like a little bit was missing from the book. Therefore, the 3 stars. Moving on to 3 Men in a Boat, wrote by Jerome. This book was published in 1889, and it's a funny story by English writer Jerome, but he's actually, I think he also has Bohemian descent, but he lived in London for a long time. This is actually sort of an autobiographical book because he wrote this book based on a trip he really took with a couple of friends, a boating trip on the Thames River from Kingston to Oxford. So it was originally meant to be a serious travel guide with bits of local history, but the humor took over. In the end, Jerome's publisher decides that this would be a better fit for a comic, funny novel, with the serious parts feeling like small interruptions in an otherwise light and entertaining story. Okay, for me, this was 2.5 stars. I think this is the book that I enjoyed the least. Unfortunately, not my kind of humor. I don't know if I'm going to be sexist in this way. I thought that it was more like men type of humor where there were a lot of episodes where things would just keep getting worse and worse, sort of like the Charlie Chaplin black and white movies where he wasn't speaking and it was just like all of crazy scenes going on, which I actually never laughed about, you know, when somebody gets hurt and then something else falls over him. Not my kind of humor. So for me, the episodes were not that entertaining. Also, at the same time, these 3 men, while they were, you know, going on their trip, they would also tell stories that they would hear from other people. So it wasn't pertinent to their trip they were going on, and maybe some mishaps would happen to them at that time. It would have been more cohesive to the story. So it was just all over the place and I didn't really enjoy it. Last book, The Goldfinch, here we go, by Donna Tartt. This was another buddy read for me for my Italian channel, and I took the longest time to prepare for a dedicated video for this book. I had such mixed feelings. I know a lot of people love this book, and I did too. I did enjoy it, but it wasn't a 5 stars book for me. I gave it 4 stars. I really couldn't emotionally connect with the characters. So while I'm tempted to improvise, I'm going to stick to reading my notes, hopefully. So Theo is 13 years old when an explosion in a museum, a terrorist attack, takes his mother away. She dies. And from that moment, he moves through the world like a ghost, clinging to a stolen painting as if it were an anchor. He stole the painting. See, I'm improvising. Because that was the painting his mom loved. It was the Goldfinch, of course. So that painting becomes a big secret of his, a refuge, and also the only thing connecting him with his mom. We will follow him between New York, Las Vegas, and Amsterdam, between scams, drugs, loneliness, and obsession. This character really can't get over what happened to him. So he feels guilty for one thing, and also he feels like he's been a victim, and he's very angry about that. So the characters around him are not really helpful, and in fact everyone is sort of dealing with their own struggles. Absent father, an impossible love, and a toxic friendship. And at last, finally, there will be someone that's kind of a stable presence and quite a reassuring hobby that will become his business partner. And even him, he can't manage to bring Theo on the right path. So it's really not easy to become attached to these characters, all of the characters, except for Hobie. That was for me my favorite character. And so they're all so imperfect and egocentric and self-destructive. They're all filled with guilt, and they really don't care about being loved. And this is, I think, the point of this book, that Donna Tartt doesn't idealize all her characters in this book. So she shows us how pain can deform, but also a life challenge with a great need to survive. So the story is gripping, the prose is very flowy and sophisticated, even sometimes a bit verbose. Some parts were too long, in my opinion. But the twists really get your attention. So you really want to keep reading this story. So what I think didn't give the 5 stars for me is this difficulty to emotionally connect with the characters. And also I was hoping for a different ending. This actually kind of lowered my overall enthusiasm. So have you read The Goldfinch? I know a lot of people love this book, and I would love to know what made it special for you. I've talked a lot about this book with my buddy Reed, and we're still debating, you know, the things that she liked, which in fact she loved this detachment of the author with the characters and giving us truthful bad characters. And I was like, okay, but I want them to be redeemed, and you know, expecting something that would be like a life lesson. And yes, Donna Tartt doesn't give life lessons. Or in a way you can still, you know, make some judgments of what some characters do, and you think no, this is not good. So it is a life lesson after all. I don't know. Okay, I'm done. I hope you enjoyed and it wasn't too long. I will deeply edit this video. Sorry for the abrupt cuts. I look forward to see you back here on Uncommon Reader. Let me tell you, probably will do a tag next one, and then I'm going to be setting off for Paris very soon. So I will be doing a few vlogs and probably a few shorts videos. So you know what you have to do if you want to come to Paris with me. Hit that subscribe button and the bell so you will be notified when a few shorts from Paris are available here on Uncommon Reader. So I'll see you soon. Take care and happy readings. Ciao!